Hello, welcome to Kapow Toys Presents. I'm your host King Grimlock, and today we are returning to the world of G.I. Joe with the Pursuit of Cobra Storm Shadow. And what a plethora of armament that this ninja does come with. Oh my word, there is too many little fiddly toys to play with. It's quite sensational. I'm going to go into depth of all of these weaponry and all that they can do soon, but first let's have a look at the man himself. A lovely base with his name on it and his faction. Let's get out of the way. I do like these bases. They do make displaying your figure much easier. And Storm Shadow himself suffers many of the same flaws that Snake Eyes did when we had a look at him recently. It's the paint job that's the problem. You have a very yellow and brown mottled bottom half of the leg, but the top half of the leg is almost pure white. You also have the same sort of problem up in the face area, where you have this sort of neckerchief that has been highlighted and detailing picked out, and then his headband has nothing on it except for a big black chunk at the back. There is lots of lining that could have been picked out there, but it all seems to have been sort of forgotten about and done over for the sake of, I don't know, saving money or whatever. And also with the problem that this guy comes with is that using a body rather than using clothing means that the joints seem a little bit looser around the chest area. I mean, you can see how I'm not barely touching it, it's moving. And it just looks a little spindly. The detailing, the sculpted detailing all over it is fantastic. The arms, I mean, it's a lovely Cobra symbol. I always love that symbol. And especially this sort of leather, I don't know, armature is beautifully done. The sculpting on this is amazing all the way round as well, picking out all the detailing with the paint apps. Fantastic piece of work on that, and really adds a lot to the figure. Underneath, this is a little bit too pure white to be truly believable as ninja clothing. I know they like to keep themselves clean and all, but then make sure the cut on it's perfect rather than being frayed and difficult. You know, one of the two. I'm happy either way. Articulation is as much as the new Joes do. Everything moves. You can get him to, you know, do all over the place. You can get him to do the, you can't get him to do, yes you can, go on, bend. You can get him to do the G.I. Joe limbo, or Matrix bullet dodging, I don't know, whatever one you want. But overall, Storm Shadow is just a quite sensational looking toy. It's a shame that the paint apps have let it down. You feel that the amount of work that obviously went into making the design on this, and the overall design of the figure, was expecting quite a bit more from it than the associated paint applications. But Storm Shadow does come with a plethora of goodies to play with, and I think that's where his main appeal will be for most people. This massive amount of weaponry that he comes with is quite simply sensational. We will slowly work through it. His backpack is quite simply a backpack for holding swords, and he has so many swords that you can't actually make them hold them all. But we'll start off with the throwing stars. Now, these are all... Can you even pick that out? They're tiny. I mean, you can see how small they are. But the detailing on them is very nicely done. They are not just you know, points hanging off straight. They've actually been sculpted in and out, and they all attach on his tabard. I think it's a tabard. I'm not sure what it is when it has leg armaments, but they all do attach. And I'm going to slowly do this, and you're going to have to sit there or fast forward like 10 seconds while I do bum-ba-dum-ba-dum, attaching my shurikens. Are they shurikens when they're like this? I don't know. Are they just throwing stars? I mean, what makes a shuriken? What makes a throwing star? Is a shuriken more like a three-dimensional thing? You know, like a pointy thing in all directions? Or... Anyway, there we go. There are those. Then he comes with... Oh, where to start? Let's start with the blades. Now, all of these blades come in pairs, obviously. We have 3 pairs of blades. And all of them combine into, I don't know, staffs, massive amounts of blades. And I'm going to leave some of them out because there's a reason. I will show you. They all fit into his backpack. I mean, it's just the amount of work that's obviously gone into making this guy as, I don't know, fit together as well as possible, and to do everything that he does as well as possible. Is really nice. They are identical lengths, those 2 sets of swords. And then you have the smaller blades. Again, they combine. Now, I do believe that they're supposed to fit in these two little slots in the back. I can't make that happen, unfortunately. Well, I can, but they just don't look right. It looks like he's going to stab himself in the ass the moment he sits down, or even worse. So I don't put them in there. They also will fit in the backpack, though not as convincingly. Let's get that in there. And I think the aesthetic of that when it's full is quite phenomenal, especially when it's full with all the long blades. But the reason I've left the long blades out, and I'm going to show you now, is for this. Now this fits in his hands as is with the chain. That is actually a chain, it's not plastic, so you can have some fun with it. You don't have to worry. Have fun with chains. You don't have to worry about it snapping. But it can also combine with the blades. Now I'm not sure how you're supposed to store this other than, you know, in his hands, really. But you know, that's severe weaponry. So I'm actually gonna. I don't know where I'm going to store that. I will show you. I will store it somewhere shortly. But I just want to show you. It's only a simple thing, but I just want to show you what this guy looks like with all the swords put in. I mean, you might not actually like it. I do. I think it looks phenomenal when he has all 4 blades sticking through like that. I mean, that for me looks great. It looks like an added detail. It looks like they've gone the extra mile. Can I get this in without ripping his pants? As I say, I just don't believe that he would use that to store his blades. I mean, unless they were angled. Sorry, I keep that on camera while I do it. Unless they're angled out like so, and they don't really. Well, I suppose they do kind of fit like that, don't they? Yeah, that's all right. It's not great. That's all right. That's the thing with Storm Shadow. He is ultimately playable because you can just mess around with what he comes with, let alone with the actual figure himself. Now these, for me, are all kinds of win. Anybody that has claws that you can attach to your hands is badass in my book. Unfortunately, as you see, there's the problem. They don't attach very well. You almost have to have them back like so to be able to make them stay in his hands, which is a real disappointment. There you go, that's a bit better. That's the wrong way up, but there we go. And he does look the part with them, because he is so poseable as well. You can then and he also then doesn't have anywhere to store these. It's a slight disappointment. It'd be nice if everything had a storage port, but then you would be having, I mean, there's 10 storage points on there already. You know, am I asking too much? Probably yes. There we go. Let's finish him off with his tomfers. I don't know what they are. They're not tomfers at all. They're kind of like nunchucks, but not, I don't know, grappling hookly things. And then we have Storm Shadow fully equipped, ready to kick some ass. And he is going to kick your ass, I'm afraid to say. He's going to kick your ass because he is too badly ass-armed to not. I could whittle. You've seen, I've just played with the toy for 8 minutes on camera. You've probably been bored out your brain and gone by now, but that's what these guys do to you. They come with so many little equipment that they just need to be played with, that you need to have fun with them. Yes, the overall figure, the figure itself is the weakest part of this package, but when you have 4 throwing stars, a chainy thing, 2 sets of claws and 6 blades on your figure, you're not really worried about what he looks like when he's stood there not wearing much. He is awesome fun. He is a great piece. Again, I have to bring that. I cannot recommend Pursuit of Cobra enough. The Jungle Viper looks sensational, and I have been swayed by these two to more than likely pick up a couple of bits. And I don't collect G.I. Joe for anybody who's seen my collection. It is purely the formers. Anyway, enough play and enough whittling and wattling and wattling aside. This has been me, King Grimlock. This has been the simply sensational G.I. Joe Pursuit of Cobra Storm Shadow. This has been his various bits, and we will see you next time.